Welcome to Do It in Durham, our 12th year. This is Durham's celebration of entrepreneurship, and it's held each November during Global Entrepreneurship Week. Do It in Durham Entrepreneurship Week is a collaboration of Durham's business, support, educational, and networking organizations who have come together to encourage and support entrepreneurs, job creators, and innovators who create economic growth in the Durham region. If you're looking to start a business, invest in a business, grow a business, we encourage you to do it in Durham region. Thank you to our amazing sponsors. Without their support and contribution, we could not host this week. Feel free to please share about it using hashtags like Do It in Durham 2024 and GEW 2024. Subscribe to the BACD YouTube channel for a copy of the recording and others that maybe you've missed, other playlists. My name is Patrice Esper. I'm a business advisor and program coordinator here at the Business Advisory Center of Durham, BACD. I'll be facilitating this session and monitoring the chat box. Laurie-Ann, it's all yours. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be sharing this information with all of you. I'm just opening up my chat. I'm curious to how many of you are actually actively speaking to market your business, to increase your personal brand. There's Patrice raising her hand. Just tell me right over in the chat. Yes, no, I'm thinking about it. I'm really curious. And also, what compelled you to join this program today? Oh, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. Oh, we are definitely gonna dive into helping you get more of those speaking opportunities. And Doris says on a weekly basis. Doris, what kind of speaking are you doing on a weekly basis? Because I believe that speaking needs to be redefined, and so do stages. Patrice, How to Get Book Solid. Yes, I believe that's a book by Michael Port. I thought here might be things that I could be doing but are not doing yet. Yes. Networking events, presentations, and rehearsal source. Love that. Anybody else want to share? And while you are sharing, I want to let you know that Warren Buffett said that if you learn public speaking skills, it will increase your value by 50%. Well, I actually think that if you learn public speaking skills, it will increase your bottom line by 87%. That's a huge difference. And that 87% compounded over the years can make a significant difference in your business's bottom line and also your personal brand. Now, let me just share some numbers with you, because a lot of people are like, yeah, Laurie-Ann, but is this speaking thing really worth it? Yes, there are today about 20,000 speaking opportunities, conferences, meetings that are happening today. Tomorrow, there'll be another 20,000, and the day after, and etc. Here in the United States, I'm located north of Boston. There's about 7,500. And those 7,500 and 20,000 globally, I believe, is grossly underestimated these days, because since 2020, it has really opened the doors to more virtual speaking. Here I am. I'm coming in from Boston for the second year in a row to this event that's in Toronto. And that wouldn't have been possible had we not, thank you, Zoom, for being around before that. But there's also another staggering number, and it's 225,000 professional trade and associations globally. 225,000. They all have chapters in different countries. Here, I'll speak predominantly about here in the United States. That also means that there's a chapter in every single state, sometimes multiple. They all have meetings monthly. They all have conferences, at least one or two. Do you remember the last time you went to the fair or the circus? There was that person who blew up the balloons, twist and turned it into a very cute animal that he handed you. There's an association for that. There is literally an association for everything. One of my clients speaks in the real estate industry, and I have a book that is not in print anymore about all the associations. And so I took a picture, of all the different associations that fall under real estate. 134. 134 different associations that fall under real estate. Now, there were two other categories that I didn't take pictures of because I didn't want to overwhelm him, but there was property management and also property investing, still under the real estate and the real estate umbrella, if you will. So the reason why I share all this with you is because there is so much opportunity out there for you. And that's what I hope that you're walking away with, is there's so much opportunity. Some of them are right next door to you. And I want to share with you how you can get booked, how you can get rebooked, and and exactly what to say so that you know to get booked, but also during your presentation, you get more clients, you get more bookings, and you get more opportunities. So let me share. Okay. So I'm working on my Apple. Anyways, so in case we've never met, if you didn't attend my event here speaking last year, I'm a reformed painfully shy girl who literally could not make eye contact with people. I am proud to say I accidentally became a professional speaker, and I'm an award-winning speaker. I also have 2 books on Amazon that became bestsellers. I spoke in the leadership and corporate engagement. I've worked with a couple of small companies like Johnson & Johnson, American Towers, and I have a podcast called Be in Demand that has been going on since 2020. And today, what I do is I help small business owners, coaches, consultants, online or brick and mortar, leverage speaking opportunities as your best form of marketing because it positions you as the expert, allows you to monetize your expertise, and what a beautiful way to bring in new business. So because of speaking, I've had the wonderful opportunity of meeting some other wonderful speakers. And I'll just share a few of them with you. Starting in the upper left-hand corner is Randy Gage. He's known as the Prosperity Guy. Going clockwise, that's Amy Porterfield. Darren LaCroix is the 2012 World Champion of Public Speaking. James Wedmore, and the gentleman that's in the middle made me feel like the rock star, even though he was really the highlight of the event. That is Bobby Orr. He's in a client's jersey, and he's not in his typical Bruins jersey, but he made me feel like a rock star, and it's one of the most memorable moments that I've ever had on stage. So let me try to convince you, especially if you're new to speaking, about some of the benefits of using speaking as your best form of marketing. One, it positions you as an expert. And I'm curious, how many of you looked me up before you decided to sign up for this particular program, this particular event? And I don't have the chat open, so I'm going to rely on Patrice to share with me, but I'm curious, like, did you look me up? Because most of the time when I ask audiences this question, they raise their hand and they say yes. So that's a little bit of web traffic. But the reason why people will check you out first, check you on your social, maybe start following you, join your email list, because they're trying to get to know you a little better before they're in your room. Everybody is so busy. And every audience that you speak in front of, that audience member has raised their hand to say, I'm willing to spend time in that room with you. I'm willing to buy a ticket, whether it's your membership, a mastermind fee that you're paying. I'm willing to be in that room. So I'm spending time, energy, money to be there. And I also am interested because I might have the problem that you're talking about, or I predict that I'm in the future going to have that problem. So what that means is everybody that's in your audience is a potential lead for you, is a prospect, or they can refer you, or they're both a potential prospect and a referral that they will be sharing with people later on. Oh, I heard this person speak about SEO. you should look her up. Tomorrow, there's a great speaker on SEO. But there are so many different ways that you can see you build that know, like, and trust quickly. You're able to share your dramatic demonstration. Here's my expertise that I'm sharing with an audience. One of the things that I like to share with my clients when we are crafting presentations is that you're taking your audience on an experience. You need to get them to lean in. That's your opening. Then you need to explain why should they listen to you, and then give really good value. So all the speeches that I help clients craft have really good value in them. And then there's a close, there's some sort of call to action, because the Do It in Durham folks want to make sure that you all are taking a step forward. That's why they put all of these speakers together. Now, speaking is so much more than just stages and Zoom, even though this is where we're meeting today. And some of you have already mentioned some of them, the different ways that you've been speaking, but it can be summits, TV appearances, Facebook Live. Maybe you are a guest on somebody's live stream show, creating videos, podcasting, podcast guesting. I mean, the list just goes on of all the different ways and all the different stages that we have. So I just believe that speaking needs to be redefined and stages need to be redefined. So in case you're still a little like, yeah, but I hear that there's a lot of free speaking. And there are a lot of places that don't have big budgets, but that's okay, because when you're really outstanding on the stage, you can walk away with clients, with opportunities. One of my clients, her name is Belinda. She actually gave a speech at a free networking event. It's just a networking event that she was attending. She spoke, and somebody came up to her and handed her a business card and said, "We need you to speak in all of our banks." She speaks on nutrition, and a bank hired her to come in to speak in all 26 of their branches. Just one idea, like that's a networking event. Here's another one. These are a couple of other ideas. The picture on the right is a small in-person networking group that happened monthly that I had the opportunity to speak at. Again, it doesn't have to be these big, grandiose events. You can start with a room that's 10, 20 people, because those 10, 20 people are, chances are, they are your ideal clients. The picture on the left, for all of you who are afraid of public speaking, this woman worked with me to get over her fear of public speaking. And yes, this is a picture that is taken from a TV studio. She put her presentation together, gave an outstanding presentation. Because of that, she got hired by a book company to write a book on her expertise. So I want you to see the domino effect. Get over your fear of speaking. She actually spoke on a stage, a small stage. It wasn't a huge stage. It was a breakout room at a conference for moms. Got asked to write a book. Then she used the pitch that I'm going to share with you in a moment. She used that pitch to pitch her local TV and got on TV. She got on TV 5 times during the time that we worked together. And she has a home organizing business. That's what she does. She is now known as the famous home organizer. So I share that with you because I want you to see that speaking is more than just stages, but there's a domino effect of the different opportunities that can happen for you. Let's find some speaking opportunities for you. So I would love it if you would pull out a piece of paper. Pull out a piece of paper, because I want you to start writing down all the different groups, association, trade groups, chambers, you name it, that you belong to. Make a long list of all of those places and just start writing them down. And I'd be curious, share that over in the chat. I'm going to open up my chat so I can see what kind of places you guys belong to, different associations. And I'll even keep this open. What different places are you currently a member of? It can be a free membership, it can be a paid membership. Great, Doris has got lots of acronyms. So I want you to make this list. And also, don't forget, it doesn't have to just be an in-person thing. It can be something that's virtual. That's why I also suggested like Facebook groups. What friends do you know that host private communities, that have memberships, that have masterminds, group programs? Make a list of all those. This is going to be an ongoing list. Now I want you to put a check mark next to all the different places that you have noticed speakers. Just check off all those. This is starting with your warm market. This is starting with the people who already know you. They already like you. Chances are they love you. They want to support you. So put those check marks, because I'm going to share with you exactly how to use what I call the open the door to have the conversation. So once you got that list and you're writing them down, I'd be curious what else you got. It can also be a parent-teacher association. Thank you very much, Patrice. I love that one. Sports association, new mom groups, absolutely. Put all of those together. The ones that you do see speakers, put a check mark next to, but don't discredit the ones who don't have speakers yet, because you could be that first speaker. Okay. Now I'm going to share with you what you want to say to these people. I love that. Board meetings, libraries, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has you can actually start your own LinkedIn live show. And when I say show, a TV show happens on the same day at the same time. Let's disregard Netflix when you can just go binge the entire season. But the show shows up at the same time. I've had clients who they're just starting. They want to be like a lunch and learn. So their show comes on at noon on LinkedIn every Monday, every Tuesday. You teach your audience, when to show up for your show. My podcast comes out on the exact same day. It's Mondays at 5 a.m. So that people know, like, when they're going to the gym or they're on their way to work on Monday, or bringing the kids to school, you can start listening to my podcast. And it becomes a part of people's regular routine. So consider starting some sort of a show, live stream, podcasting. You got lots of options. So we're going to open the door. What would you say to the person to get booked? Here's exactly what you say. And Patrice, I'm just going to use you as an example. I'm going to pretend that you and you're the president, you're the vice president of this association that I'm a member of. And I would say, Patrice, I've been a member here for 4 years now. And I just love some of the speakers that we have that you bring in. What's the process for finding speakers? We're not saying, book me. We're just opening the door to having the conversation. Patrice will answer that question. Most places, I have yet to find somebody with this kind of a general question refuse to answer it. They'll give you the information and they will tell you exactly how they do that. So let's just take human resource associations. Here in the US, if you're in the northern part of the country, HR, have their meetings from September to June. That's their calendar year. Down south, they don't take the summer off for their meetings like we do up here in the north. Their calendar goes from January to December. That's the information that I had to find out. So I just asked, what's your process for finding speakers? And they'll tell you, come November, we gather up all of this information and we pick out our calendar. So during our team meeting on December, we figure out the entire year. Oh, fantastic. Now you've got some information. I speak on XYZ. How could I serve our association, our group, this group? And they'll tell you, oh, send us your information in, let's just say Patrice says October, because they want to prepare, gather all that information for November. But different associations and different groups are going to tell you, oh, we're a month to month thing. Oh, I have nothing to do with that. Such and such is the person who finds our speakers. They'll tell you, and that's, you want to follow up with that person. And just, you're opening the door to having a conversation. That's all. So again, these are people that already know you. They like you, they trust you, they want to support you. When you're done speaking, and this is how speaking snowballs, you ask the person who booked you, hey, I really enjoyed this. Do this on podcasts, by the way, too. Really enjoyed being on your show, really enjoyed speaking for your group. Who else do you know that would benefit from the information that I just shared? Podcast hosts know podcast hosts. People that run meetings, they know other people in other chapters or other groups that they might be attending. So now, instead of that being a cold lead, you have this nice warm introduction. And this is how speaking literally can snowball. Just ask for 2 referrals, and those 2 turn into 2 more. So that's how you can literally open the door. I just want to pause here for one moment. Does anybody have any questions? Anything that's come up for them? Any ahas? Feel free to share that over in the chat, or feel free to, if you want to.
Laurie-Ann.
Thank you.
It's from Simona asking, wondering if there are specific places that they can already find high ticket clients. Is this something that you'll be leading us to? I mean, it's
to find high ticket clients.
So they've already got an ideal client list of places.
So well, if you already have an ideal,
already exist.
Okay, so if you already have an ideal list of clients or places, I mean, definitely like get in there. So I don't have the golden answer of if you speak here, this is where your ideal clients are going to be, because there's an assortment of people here today, an assortment of people who are going to be watching this later, and your ideal clients are all different from each other. What I would suggest is that you start talking to your ideal clients and start doing a little bit of market research and ask them, where else do you hang out? What conferences do you attend in person or virtually every year? They'll tell you where they're going. And so you want to consider those events to get there. Now, I just want to share something that I just thought of. I've had people reach out to me saying, hey, I had a friend who got onto the Inc. 500 stage. How'd she do that? How did she get there? Here's my answer. If you know somebody who's been on a stage that you want to be on, ask them how they got there. The speaking world, if I pull back the curtain, it is a relationship business. And they will tell you, let me just stop sharing here. And they will tell you, oh, I'm really good friends with such and such. One other time that I spoke, the person who runs the event was sitting in my audience, came up to me afterwards and said, I need you to speak at. You'd be surprised at all these different ways that you can get booked to speak. So one of the things that I believe in is that speakers need to network with other speakers. Because another way that you can get booked to speak is to find somebody who has a complementary topic. You have the same audience that you speak to, so you could refer people back and forth. So for example, I actually have 2 of my clients who are speakers at this event this year. But what I like to do is you find somebody else who is similar to you. Like, for example, for myself, it might be a business coach. It could be, somebody who teaches sales. That way, when that person is done speaking, they can just say to the event coordinator, hey, if you're having a hard time, well, not if you're having a hard time, like, hey, I have a great suggestion or referral for you for another meeting, a future meeting, next year's conference. And you make the introduction. And they're doing the same thing for you. So if you can find 1 or 2 people that you can basically bounce referrals off of, Yay. That's going to make your job so much easier. Because if somebody already saw you speak, they're going to trust you. Okay, send me their information. That person is now going to be like basically almost on the top of the list. They'll go check out their social media, maybe some videos, etc. Like I've already told people here that I have 2 other people that I want to share with them for next year. And you all have the opportunity to speak at this event next year. You just have to reach out, open the door to having the conversation, let them know how wonderful this was and how you were glad that you had the opportunity to attend. Give them a testimonial. You're starting to open that door to the conversation. I literally did this a few years ago myself. I come from the healthcare world. I have credentials that I still maintain credits for. And the doctors can be notorious. They can be very boring speakers. That's just the truth of the matter. They're almost very academic. Well, I attended a conference, a virtual CME program, and I really enjoyed it. So I joined the next month. Well, then I finally sent them a testimonial just saying, you have the most engaging speakers. I love your programs. Thank you very much for organizing them. I appreciate them. And they were no cost to medical professionals. And they came back to me and said, can we use it as a testimonial? Yes, you can. Here you go. And I gave them, and on the bottom was my signature that said, Laurie-Ann Murabito, speaker, author, coach. So then she was like, you're a speaker. What do you speak on? Well, if you ever want a talk on communication, presentation, or leadership, let me know. I'm happy to help out. And I have spoken for them for 2 years, at least twice each year. So it's these little things that you're constantly building relationships with other people. So who here would say that you're completely new to speaking? You're like, I don't even know what I would speak about if somebody said yes. Do we have any of those people in the room? Okay, if we do, you all have a speech in you. And your speech is, you can answer some of the most common questions that you have. Create a presentation that talks about those common questions that people are constantly asking you. So I'm going to share with you some speaking tips, and one that I'm sure is going to surprise you. I'm going to share with you some speaking tips. There's no way I could possibly share 25 years worth of speaking experience in this 45 minutes that we're here together. But I'm going to give you the speaking tips that I know will give you the biggest bang for your buck. So one of them is what you're wearing. What you are wearing. One, monochromatic does photograph better. You shouldn't be wearing white indoors. You know, we want to make sure that you also get some speaking assets to use and put on your website and on your social media later. But the most important thing about your outfit is I want to make sure that it makes you feel like $1,000,000. Does it make you feel like $1,000,000? That's the outfit that I want you to wear, the outfit that people constantly comment on, the blazer or the tie that people are constantly remarking on. Wear that. Pause it. Most people feel that if they pause, it means they don't know what they're going to say. Pausing is actually not for you, it's for your audience. It is the space that the audience has to think or answer the question that you have just asked them. You know, I have asked you, like, hey, put in the chat, what's your experience with speaking? I've asked you questions, little pause. And in certain stories, you may want to have that dramatic pause. If you're speaking virtually, I would tell you to speak standing up. If you don't have a standing desk, maybe it's something you want to consider, because your energy is so different when you are standing versus sitting in a chair. We kind of hunch over, and our diaphragm, our chest is going to compress, and so we're not getting in as much oxygen. So being able to stand even though I realize you probably only got like 2.5 feet of space versus a stage that will give you a lot more. So just practice with your virtual speaking, standing up, making really good eye contact. And what that means is looking in the camera, not looking at the people, not looking at the person that's talking, like when you're having like these Zoom conversations or podcast interviews. Look in the camera. That's how you are looking into people's eyes, so that they can see into your soul. Your tone. You want to have varying tone, speaking a little bit louder, maybe speaking a little bit softer. It all goes along with your stories. And these are just different things that somebody that's in the audience or the person who booked you is going to be like, oh, this person was new. This person's a pro. Because these are those things that separate the newbies from those that are a little bit more experienced. So vary your tone, your fluctuation. This is typically something that women do very, very well. You know, my male clients, I have to convince them, because they can be a little mono, is just to take it up, take it down, speed up. When you want to excite the audience, slow down. If it's something that's maybe a little sad, or you really want to make some emphasis, think about how you are telling your story. Relive your story. Another mistake that I see a lot is do not cram everything you know into whatever the allotted time is that you have to speak, whether that's 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. A lot of times I will see new speakers trying to jam everything into their allotted time. And so they end up speaking really, really fast because they want to make sure they get all this information out. And all you're doing is exhausting the audience. And when they're exhausted and overwhelmed with too much information, they do nothing. Keep it simple. My clients, I will tell them, you are allowed 3 points. That's it. So think of it as you are packing to go on a trip. And you've got all those clothes. I don't know, this is how I pack. I put everything that I want to bring on the trip on the bed. And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to need a bigger suitcase. Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you that you're only allowed to carry on a backpack, as a matter of fact. So now you have 3 outfits that you're allowed to carry with you. Three tips. And then what you want to do is you want to have 3 pieces of supporting data or stories that support that tip that you are sharing. And I'll give you if you send me an email later and tell me what the 3 tips were that we shared and the 3 pieces of data, I'll give you a free coaching call if you can dissect all that. Because what I'm doing is I'm taking you on an experience. You don't even realize what has been happening. So here's one other speaking tip that will probably surprise you. If you are speaking in the afternoon, and this is what this applies for, or if you're speaking in the morning, do not have something very salty as the last meal. This one always, like, thank you, Patrice. That one always surprises people. But what happens is, if you have something salty, you're reaching for your water and constantly trying to hydrate. And what that then end up telling you is like, I must be nervous. I'm drinking so much water, when the truth of the matter is you shouldn't have had the burger and fries the night before, or the cheese omelet for breakfast. So make sure that you're well hydrated. It's okay to have a glass of water next to you that you're going to take a sip. And some of the best times to take that sip, in person or virtually, is that when you ask the audience a question. You can take a sip. It's a nice little pause. It gives them time to answer the question. And it's all part of your presentation. So I do have something that I want to share with you so that you can take your public speaking skills to the next level, and also just to continue learning. I have a new listener's guide for my podcast. there's over 260 episodes, and I kind of share with you, like, here are the most popular episodes that I have. But before we get into that, what questions do you have? Because I am literally an open book and here to answer any question that you have.
If I may, Simona, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? It may come across better. Don't know if they're able to unmute, but so Simona said, just to clarify, the ideal clients feature I wanted to niche down is being higher spending clients already, meaning I'm my understanding of that is, okay, Simona says I can't unmute. So my understanding of that is, where are the ones that have the budgets that are already, that's my understanding of it, that are
For
already
events,
paying.
for
Yes, for
conferences and
speakers.
events.
What?
Okay. This is the book that is out of print. Okay. If you can find a used copy of this, like this is a 2014. I tell all my clients, it just doesn't matter. This used to be sent out to every library in the US. Okay. I bought this on Amazon for like $10. But I've had clients find them for like up to 150 US dollars. This book is worth its weight in gold. The name of whoever's running the organization, the name of whoever's in charge of conferences, they've probably changed, in the 10 years. The valuable information in this book is the URL doesn't change. Chances are they still have the same home office. The main office is still somewhere in the Maryland area. This will also tell me what the budget is for this association 10 years ago. If they have a budget of over $2 million, they're used to paying for speakers. So I hope that answers your question, Simone. You're looking for budgets. However, I am a big fan of, if somebody does put money on the table, yes, you should take it. You should say, yes, here's what my speaking fee is. But every event is different. Every event has their own budget that they have set aside for speakers. So unless you're a professional speaker, like I used to be, you won't have a speaking fee. Like, here's my fee, and I don't speak unless you can pay the $4,500, the $7,000, the $10,000. That's probably not what your job is. If that is to become your job, that's a different conversation. But what you can do is get paid on the back end. And when you get the listener's guide, I also share with you how you can get the 17 magical phrases. There are things that you can say in your presentation so that it sounds conversational, but it also lets the audience know, oh, Laurie-Ann works with clients. Oh, Patrice has a program. Oh, Simone has another speech, so that you get more clients, more bookings, more opportunities after each time that you speak. With the high budget feature, I meant especially people attending the event. Simone, if you work with high-end clients, I would be talking to them. Where are they going? I don't know anything about your business. I wish you could unmute. Because I would have other questions that I would ask, specifically, what do you do? Who do you serve? But I would be asking your current clients, where are they going? Okay. I'm reading one of these other questions. Making it a win-win for everybody. Yes. And another, and I don't want to ruin your lovely name, but another idea is also to do a study within an organization, especially if, let's just say you do leadership development. You could run a program. You might even want to give them like, hey, I'll give you 50% off. We'll do this program, and let's see, like, And there'll be certain metrics that you are going to keep track of. And let's see what happens after attending this leadership development and the follow-up programs that we're going to have each month. Let's see what happens in 6 months to 12 months. So you could be starting to run some studies while you're also getting some great experience and exposure and testimonials and referrals. I mean, the list goes on. When you speak at one sort of an organization, then you can then use it for another organization. I've spoken for a logistics company, a global logistics company, and that company was named Toll, but then I was able to go to Schneider and just say, hey, I did some work for Toll. Schneider's like, huh, really? Well, if Toll had you, maybe we need to have you. So you start to you're opening the door to having conversations. And Simone says, I'm communication skills trainer. Sorry, not to be able to unmute. Oh my God, Simone, you've got, lots and lots of opportunity. When text messaging became very big during the time when people were in college, they got out of college, high school and college, I would say, they got out of school and did not know how to communicate with people. There were companies that were making millions of dollars going into companies just to teach communication skills. Okay, so I'm glad some of this has been, you've found, since you weren't able to unmute. Patrice and I have been trying to figure that. What other questions do you have? Feel free to unmute or type them in the chat. But for those of you that are just hanging around, I will share this with you. This is where you can get the new listener's guide. It is at speakandstandout.com/do-it-in-Durham. And maybe we can put that in the chat. See if I can just copy it. Or not. But this listener guide will share with you like 7 or 8 different episodes, varying if you are a beginner, intermediate, or maybe more advanced. My podcast is Be in Demand. It comes out twice a week with great tips and information. I will warn you, I have been told it is very bingeable. And because the episodes are actually, they're 15 to 20 minutes. So you can probably listen to a couple of them, in one sitting, in one commute. Doris, you've raised your hand. Would you like to unmute yourself?
So I have a question that may be relevant to other people. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 12. I won't tell you how many years that is. But one of the things I'm always uncertain about is the topics that I have to speak about actually valuable to someone? And how do I make it relevant to a particular audience? Because I love to tell, like, I was at the opening event on Monday in person, and I spoke to a couple of super young people who are just starting out as entrepreneurs. So I'm giving them tips and everything about that. And I love to be able to help people just starting on their journey. But then I also work in accessibility. So I'm always talking to social workers, occupational therapists, even family members who don't know where to turn. And there's a lot of gaps in our healthcare system here, as I'm sure there is at home, that people don't know how to navigate the system. I'm trying to figure out, how do I make what I have to share relevant and succinct more than anything? Because as you mentioned about the three tips or 3 points to discuss, there's so much, because you could talk forever. How do you condense it so that it's relevant and people are getting, from their perspective, the most bang for their buck, whether they're just spending their time or they're actually paying to be there? How do we make it worthwhile for them as much as us?
It sounds to me like you have 2 different audiences.
Definitely.
If you're speaking about accessibility, and then you want to speak over here to these people about entrepreneurs, to give them advice, share your wealth of information with them. So you do. You have two different audiences. But how do you make your accessibility relevant? Well, that's, constantly changing and updating your stories, so that we're not using a story from like 20 years ago. We're using something that maybe just happened last year, a piece of, I'm thinking of like news article or maybe a law that just passed. So there's a friend of mine and he speaks in the customer, service, customer engagement industry. And he has a keynote. Now he is a professional speaker, so this is what he does. During the course of a 12-month year, he will slowly change his keynote so that by the following 12 months later, let's just say it's January, he has a completely different keynote. Now he does this strategically for a couple of reasons. It keeps him staying relevant, as you said, but it also he gets to come back to the companies year after year after year because he has a completely different speech. You're not going to hear the same stories. You're not going to hear the same tips and advice. So that could be an approach for you. But thank you very much for what you do because, I had a family member who was in a wheelchair. And once you experience that and you go into a public restroom, you're like, there is no way he or she could have been in here.
Yeah,
Could
we
have
run into
used
that
this
all the
bathroom.
time.
Yes. But you have to, and that's from experience. So thank you very much for what you are doing. And the medical field, whether you were speaking just in Canada or you were speaking here in the US, I mean, the medical industry has just an enormous amount of opportunity and associations. And they all need to be hearing from you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm just going to take this moment to interject only because of the timing. And I know that there's more sessions that people are heading out to. Laurie-Ann, do you want to do any closing remarks?
I want to thank you very much, everybody, for being here. And I hope that this has, reignited, if you've been speaking, given you some ideas on what to start speaking about. But I would encourage you to, download my podcast or download the listener guide and start putting yourself out there. Start re-putting yourself out there. If you've done some speaking, go back to all the different places that you've spoken for and just reconnect with them. Like, hey, Patrice, God, it's been like 5 years since I spoke for your organization. I can't believe where the time went. It's like I blinked and here we are. And I spoke for your organization 5 years ago. I would love to come back. Just starting those conversations. Yeah.
Excellent.
So thank you very much. I really appreciated being here and I don't take it lightly that you spent an hour with me.
Thank you so much, Laurie-Ann. Really appreciated that. Lots of little insights and tips. So remember what the offer was. If you can remember 3 and share with Laurie-Ann, she do free coaching. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's for our audience, our participants at the workshop. So just so, and for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, now you've been introduced to another subject matter expert, as well as the Business Advisory Center of Durham. Do It in Durham 2024 is coming to a wrap, coming to a close. But feel free, know that you're not alone on the entrepreneurial journey. Feel free to reach out for support where needed, because there is an ecosystem out there that's ready to support you. And with that, we're signing off.